hear me now? You can hear me.
Hey everyone, I think we are in
Hi.
the bug, so I think you should hear both of us now, not just me.
Yeah, can you hear me also as well?
Oh man! So if you're just joining
Hi,
us,
Green Skull.
this
Mhm.
is Pop Goes a Stream. I'm Robert Lee, and I'm here with my co-host.
Xanthi, that's me, Xanthi S. I'm here, yes.
Uh, uh,
Welcome to the second episode of Pop Goes a Stream.
yeah, it should be a.
And what?
Oh no, I said it should be a blast, but I didn't mean to interrupt you. Sorry.
Oh, no, it's okay. Don't interrupt me. Happy New Year. I mean, it's the 6th of January. So the new year was just around the corner. I
Did you have
hope
a good?
everyone had a great.
Did you have
Yeah.
a good New Year's?
Yeah, I had. Well, it was very calm. It was more just us three, the family. and it was good. I will tell you on the second segment of our show what I did
Okay.
on New Year's Eve, what we did. But it was nice, family at home and some fireworks outside, and then straight to bed with my pajamas. I was with my pajamas all day.
Yeah, I mean, it was pretty low key for
How
us
was
too.
yours?
Like you say, it was pretty low key, just with the immediate family, with the parents and my brother, just waiting for the proverbial ball drop to midnight. My brother had some friends like would either FaceTime um or they contact us just to kind of share the moment when the time changed to the new year. So that was neat. And of course the we pretty much overeat, so I think I need the next day or two to just kind of recover from food coma. So
Exactly. Same here. Lots of food, but happens once a year or more. Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah. So, what are we going to talk about today, Robert?
Well, that's a good question. For those that might have missed the description earlier, promoting the show, we're going to talk about the movie and also the book uh, version of Dune. There, so I had the I don't know, I should say task, but I had a chance to watch both the first incarnation of it back in that was done in 1984. I didn't take a time travel uh, ship to go back and watch. I just saw the film. All right, I'll work on that one.
Yeah.
And then it was a matter of just watching the modern adaptation just to compare that. And Xanthi, what she saw was
Well, I saw first the new movie Dune, the one that was made now, and then I started listening to the audiobook, reading the book or listening to the audiobook of the book. Incarnation is the word, Dune. I haven't finished it, but I have a few things to say. So, yeah, we just start, and then we're going to talk about another film. We're keeping it. Stay tuned. I don't know if something around me might uh, say what it. But anyway, we go to the Dune. We go to discuss about the Dune. So, what did you think about it? Did you see? What did you see first? Did you see first the old or the new?
well, I first saw the old just because I just need a little bit of reference as to what it was about because I thought if I saw the new one first, then I might have miss the ability to be able to compare and contrast just because I thought I'd be going in reverse if I compare what it was now to then to now. It's almost like I feel like I'm talking about relativity of time. So I watched the first version of it, and I gotta admit it was a little bit hard to follow just because I wasn't really familiar with the characters. I mean the only thing I knew about it was like there's a big desert.
Well, you're not alone because I had no idea either. We just knew that it was out and we saw it at home on HBO. Uh, so it was like, okay, Dune's out, nice film. We watched it. So I had never seen the old one. I
Mhm.
admit it. I admit it. I've never seen the old one, never read the books, knew about it. But, we just enjoyed it, sat and watched it. So you're not alone in that. Mm,
Well, my goodness for that. I mean,
yeah.
I think what caught my attention was that I guess the modern adaptation will be told in three parts and three films, where when it was done in '84, it was just the one film, and so
Yes.
I,
And my boyfriend, he's a huge fan. He has seen the old film and he has played the video games as well. So when we do we say spoilers? Spoiler alert, or I don't know what kind of spoilers I'm going to say. I'm just going to talk about the film. But when I asked him, when he said when we watched when it's finished, I thought it was going to be two parts. Like this is the first movie. And then he said, "Oh, now I know why it's going to be three parts." I said it's going to be three, yes. And I said, "Why do you say that?" Because, well, long story short, he said they have just scratched the surface. So it was a 3 hour long movie. But how long was it? It's a
well,
it's a long film.
yeah, it was like about. I mean, the version I saw was about 2 hours and probably like about 40 45 minutes, and
Yeah,
uh
it was a long film. So and just the first part, whereas the 84 film, how long was it?
Well, actually, I think the first film was oh shoot. I think the first one was like about two
I'm
hours and
googling.
forty
We should have been more
five.
prepared. 2 hours and 17 minutes. 2 hours and 17 minutes. The first one, and it's the whole thing.
Yeah,
Whereas now the new it was 2 hours and 35 minutes. Only the first part. So you can understand it was very detailed.
yeah. But what was funny was because like the first film covered the whole thing.
Yeah, they barely started. Yes. Hmm?
Yeah,
Sorry.
it
Hmm?
felt like three quarters of the film probably covered what the first film was, and it just seems like the last 40 minutes of the original film, it just kind of slapped the ending all together there. So,
Just had
um,
to rush it.
yeah, but I mean,
Mm.
but just that little difference, I thought was interesting, just because I was trying to like um, make sense of the film before I saw it. I was just trying to get a general idea what the film was about, and they characterized the first film. The synopsis was about the idea of the son trying to. This is where we say spoiler alert, where they capture the idea of the son being trying to gain revenge his father's death and regaining control of the land where all the spice is. And then if when I look at the synopsis told for the modern one, they just say like, you know, the family betrusts the son to oversee the spice production. And I'm like, that's two totally different descriptions of the same movie, and just based on like what was being covered. I'm like, if I hadn't known that this is the same film but only covered different aspect of it, I probably would have thought they were just two different films with just different actors and stuff.
But it kind of, I would say, I don't know if it makes sense, but it could make sense because, like the first film, now the new one, it's like Grimskull says, it's like trying to fit Lord of the Rings into one movie. About the old thing, sorry, about the old thing. So, I mean, it's normal to have a different film in the 80s where you try to cover everything and just squeeze everything. But now you have more elaborated version, which just the first part being more detailed. The first movie was really to establish the characters and set the scene for what is to come. Yes, he says it very exactly. So, and as you said, I only know that it's something about the desert. I had no idea about spices and the whole thing. I mean, I have seen the Dune images, and maybe it was on TV at some point back in the 80s or 90s on TV that I was just catched a few images, but never sat and watched it. So I didn't know. I know that the character in the 80s, it's what's his name? McClach,
A
the guy
comic,
that plays in Twin
comic,
Peaks.
right? Comic.
Him.
Man,
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
having a hard
yeah.
time
It's
pronouncing his last name. McLaughlin was the
even
actor.
if you have a hard time saying his last name, impossible. So, but him and David Bowie. No,
Yeah,
Sting. Is it Sting? Sting. It's
Sting.
Sting. Sting. Sorry.
No,
Yeah.
no worries. I mean, that's the one glaring difference is that they didn't have the Sting character in the film, which but then I thinking, well, maybe because of how it was covered in the modern adaptation, that they didn't find a way to introduce it. So rather than just having just kind of like, hey, I'm here, either the second or third film, maybe have more of an impact to show him then. But
Mm.
whereas the first film, he was in there, but it was just I don't want to say like an afterthought, but it's just like one of many actors that were in the film.
Guest
Um,
star, like
yeah, starring Sting. But
starring, but for 5 minutes. I don't know how long he's in the film. I have a question for you
shoot,
that has nothing to do with the plot or anything, but as a
okay,
production, the new film,
yeah.
like how it was filmed. What do you think? What is your opinion? Did you like it?
So
And the audience.
So what I thought was interesting because like the first film was directed by David Lynch. It had a bit of like a not a noir film, but it almost had like a not I don't want to say
A David
campy.
Lynch feeling.
Yeah, David Lynch film. And you look at something now where it's just either focus on the sci-fi, and it's almost like they use a lot of like it almost had that kind of like a lens flare feel where anytime they show some like landscape or just something scenic that they had to make it look epic. That felt more like they were trying to take advantage of the technology just to make it look good, and I'm like, "Well, Okay. I mean, I get it, but it's just I was just more interested in just like how they would tell the story for the fact that it's such a hard film to adapt. I'm sorry, it's such a hard book to adapt as a film, and I don't know if it was like either the trades or like some of the other magazines that were saying that they thought the modern adaptation did a better job. I'm like, well, it just felt like they just spend more time focusing on the build up to when things fall apart.
Sorry, what
For
did you
the
say? People said that the old film
of the
was
current film,
better.
they thought
Current.
that
Mm.
just that they thought they did a better job providing a visual representation of the book. But I mean, it just felt
Mm.
like it was just like showing the full film in segments, but focusing on the first half of the film told in one movie. And so I thought, well, they got two more parts, so maybe they'll make it up in terms of either the storytelling aspect of it, or maybe how they might try a different way they flesh out the characters. Um, the other thing that I thought was interesting that because there's like different actors, and give it was done in the '80s, and so who they casted then is a lot different than how it's carried out now. But I can't help feel that I don't want to say it's like slightly dated, but just in terms of how the architect of like what a hero is and what their traits are, it seems a little bit more, maybe a little bit campy, just like how they portray Paul Atreides as the main character in the '80s film, where seems like that he has this very more altruistic, more together type of hero, where the modern incarnation with, I don't know how to pronounce this guy's name. Tim. I was gonna say Charlemagne, but I don't think that's the right name.
Peter character. What's his
Uh,
name?
The Paul character.
Paul.
Um,
Paul.
they made him a lot more flawed and just kind of like, and it's just like that.
Timothy
It's
Chalamet. Oh yeah, it's
right.
very hard to Timothy Chalamet or whatever. It sounds very French.
Yeah, exactly. I'll just call him Tim. Makes it
Mm.
easier. But
Tim. Let's call him Tim.
we'll call him Tim. We'll just call they call him Tim. It just felt like they focused more on the the flawed character of Paul Atreides, and the '80s focused more like how more of a perfect, I don't want to say kid, but just a character it was. And so that kind of like juxtaposition of just comparing how the character was portrayed in terms of how much put together he is as addressing the situation, it just kind of threw me off there. Given that it wasn't like enough to make me forget like what was going on, but just that I think the tone of it just seemed a little bit made it more startling different for me as to how the film was proceeding, if that makes sense.
Well, yeah, I guess. I'm a very positive person in general. It's hard for me to find a film that I don't enjoy. I can say that the film is a masterpiece, and I can identify if a film is a masterpiece or if a film is okay. But I could enjoy both in the same way because I enjoy films and movies in general. So I really enjoyed the new film, but of course I have nothing to compare it because I haven't seen the old one and I haven't read at the time the books. So I really, really enjoyed it because I had no expectations. I was like, okay, let's watch the Dune. It's could be nice, it could be not nice, but let's watch it. And I was actually mind blown because maybe I had zero expectations. Didn't know what to expect. And we watched it, as I said, on HBO. So I don't know if the streaming services or the cinema, how quality the screen makes a difference because I don't remember noticing or focusing so much of the glare, as you say.
Right.
But took it as a whole experience. And at the beginning, I was like, okay, where is this going? When he was sitting at the table with his mom, Paul, and they were trying to be the telepathic thing, it's like, okay, what is this? But then as the film proceeds and, develops, I was like, oh my God, what am I watching? This is cool. This is really cool. And some scenes when they go, that scene when it's like whole black background and those three, what are, with the long dresses, I don't even remember the characters at the time. Was it the old councils or ladies that they were
All right.
that
And with the elaborate headpiece, like something from like
Y- the-
the
yeah,
European time.
that
Um,
there is a scene that the figures like this they enter, and it's like a very. It reminded me kind of a Star Wars slash Matrix epicness feeling.
yeah.
It was it was very nicely made, I think, in my opinion. In my opinion, and as Grimskull said, I they were just setting the scene, introducing the actor, introducing the characters of what is about to come. Because we had some action, we had some things, but I was like, oh my god, I want to see part two now. It was a cliffhanger. Yes and no. So I really, really enjoyed it, and that's why I also don't. My boyfriend said, "You have to read the book," and I said, "Yes, I will read the book now because this is amazing." And of course, it's audiobook, not sponsored by Audible, but it's good. It helps. But it's like 20 hours. No, how many hours is it? Let me just tell you.
More than one.
Um, but it is three books, and I don't know if it's the entire film or if there are. Yeah, anyway, it is. Uh, well, I have 18 hours left, so the whole thing is 20 plus hours. No, I have read something. How much is it? June. The Dune.
Oh, you mean in terms of the length of the audio?
Yeah. Like how many hours of listening? Like it is 21 hours and 2 minutes. It is, yes.
Oh,
So
wow.
I haven't listened to that much, but the book, of course, is more elaborate. And it was something that we discussed. There was the scene that Paul put his finger into the chair
Oh,
where the
right.
elder woman is there. Which I don't remember. We get to know what he's experienced, just that he's suffering. But in the book, it says that it's burning, and you said that in the old movie, it shows that it's burning.
Right. It just shows like the image, like you first like see his hand, and then when it goes into the box, so you see like it's almost like he had like X-ray vision, so you see his hand in the box, and then all of a sudden it kind of cuts to this like it's almost like it seems like it's in a dream state as to show like what the hand was. It's almost or at least illustrating like what he's feeling, and it shows like the hand, being burned off, and he's in pain, like ah! And I'm like, and that's where like it felt very David Lynch just because of the visual of how they illustrated the fire and the burn. I'm like, oh,
Yes.
and
But it was interesting that it was a detail that they showed in the 80s because you knew about it because you saw the film, but I didn't know until I read the book because they didn't show that in the new film. So it's also interesting what details they decide to show in the new film, even though it's more detailed and more elaborated, and what details they show and what not.
okay,
But
so
yeah, sorry. Mhm.
so you're saying it was a psychological test, but I think because like I don't know. Well, when I first saw the original version, I could, I kind of figured it had to be a psychological test, but the way they illustrated it made me question whether it was meant to be psychological. But the way they filmed it made it look like okay, maybe the guy really burned his hand. So it wasn't like when they pulled out and it shows hands, like okay, it was all in the mind, but it was just,
It's all a mind. Yeah. Mm.
but
She was
I
testing him. Mm.
exactly. But the thing that confused me the most was like in the 84 version. Whenever I hear the dialogue whisper, I could never tell if it was meant like the character was really talking to himself quietly, or if it's the idea of like hearing in his mind like what he's trying to telepath to another person. And I thought this is awfully confusing.
Grimskull knows he's Dune, obviously. The Ben Gesserit, the Gom Jabbar, yeah, he knows all the words, all the
No, more than
psychological test. It's the fear of the unknown. Fear is the mind killer. It's an actual quote. So Grimskull, you know Dune. There's also Children of Dune with James McAvoy. Okay, I have
it's
things to
it's pretty
study.
trippy. So I don't know. It was just
Yeah.
like first they talk about the hands and ah, but but I mean, I mean, I had to kind of like piece it together. Like after even after watching it, I still had to like read some of like the wiki the wiki summary, the Wikipedia, or just like when I looked at
Oh,
the
definitely.
characters. There's a couple of good sites like trying to remember the name. It was like Fandom Wire. They did like a comparison between the '84 cast versus the recent cast, so I can kind of follow along what they were doing. But at the same time, I even like, and I kind of did a geeky thing. Well, I mean, it is we're talking about geek stuff where I took both films. I had one monitor having the '84 version playing at the same time the current film version, just so I can kind of see like if they're like falling beat for beat, or at the very least see like where they deviated. And it was funny that once where the film ended, or a time elapsed for the modern version, as I looked over to the monitor that had '84, there's still about 40 minutes left, and I'm like, oh wow, that's where they really packed on the end there, like as a throw on there, because like it's just almost like, well, what's going on here? So um it's
Well,
yeah,
you
it's
did that is some hardcore research that you did, that you put both films side by side. That is good organized research.
yeah, exactly. So, um, oh, there's a just Beanie. Hey guys, yeah, it
It's a
is Doctor.
foundational piece of science fiction. Sorry. Yes.
I was just like saying it is a Doctor Strange background. It's his inner sanctorium. So, but what the funny part was that as I was kind of compared, that's when you can see the difference with the actors and actresses playing. So the character um Gurney, the '84 version was played by Patrick Stewart or Captain Picard, and then in the modern adaptation, it was played by Josh Brolin or Thanos. So it kind of threw me off to just to see the two different people with total different, I guess you say, like acting style playing the same character, and just to kind of like follow along as to how they're like conducting themselves was an interesting thing to see. But I got to the point where when I had them playing at the same time, it kind of distracted me the
Mm.
focus on like which one I see. I had to
Now
stop
you
one
cannot see
film.
films like that. Okay, I have one trivia and one question for you.
Okay.
One trivia, well, I don't know, maybe everyone knows it. The Baron in the new version is
Yep.
played by Swedish actor Stellan Skarsgård. It
Yep.
is, I was like, I couldn't recognize him, but then I heard the voice and I was like, is that Stellan? Of course, we talk with first name basis here. I mean, he's Swedish, so yeah,
Well, and
we're
you're like this,
practically
so
practically friends. No, but I think he did a great job. And the question is, how did you find the acting on the new film? Because before I let you answer, I'm going to interrupt you before you get to answer.
okay.
I was actually blown away by the kid. Well, I say the kid, I don't know, he looks young. Paul, the actor, Timothy, let's call
Yeah.
him Tim, as we said.
Okay, Tim.
I wasn't sure, like, okay, what is that kid going to do? But I have a feeling he was playing very good. And his mother. Okay, what did you think about the acting?
Uh
If you want to elaborate.
well, I
Um,
think just like because like
Josh
there's
Brolin was a good choice for the role, honestly. Sorry, I interrupted you. I'm reading the comments.
oh no, no
Yes,
worries.
sorry.
No, it's just that
And Jason Momoa, of course. Yeah. Mm.
no, so I mean, I think because like the current adaptation is only focusing the first part, you don't really see the character fully fleshed out as it was in the '84 version of it. So
Mhm, mhm.
it's I feel kind of bad if I only the only comment on a portion of his acting where you don't see the full breadth of it. So I guess because like typical films where they would just show the character's arc where they show from maturity from where he starts to how he
Mhm.
ends, you see the natural progression. So I can only comment on what he is at that point. So in terms of like portraying the character as kind of like not kind of like the wide eye, like what's going on kind of a deal, and somewhat naive to the situation, I would say that he would nail it. But I guess because like
I'm the naive in the situation, so that's why I feel he nailed it. Yeah.
Okay, so I agree. So
Yes, we agree.
so yeah, so I guess like once I see how he does in the next two films, then I'll be able to say like, oh, he did a
True.
better job than Kyle, or maybe like, but so I would say it's incomplete grade just because I haven't seen everything else out. But I guess
Okay, fair
how he's
point.
progressing.
Then, when the third film is finally out, then we will have a catch up.
Okay,
Yes. Okay. Good. Good. But all in all, we can conclude that we liked it. We enjoyed it. I liked it. Did you like it? I'm have a feeling that Grimskull liked it.
let's see. He says,
He sounds like a walking library of Dune. Grimskull. Good.
so if I can't
Who
find it on the
wants
website, we
Netflix
can.
the King? Okay. I portrayed Robert by watching this stream on Xanthi's channel. Okay. I'm trying to read the comments.
Uh,
Timothy Chalamet kills it in almost everything I've seen him. Okay. Have I seen him in anything else? I'll go watch Netflix The King. Is he playing there also? I
is that
could.
the King and I? Wait, or
I,
which
I,
one?
I don't know. I don't know. If I have to admit that I haven't been watching so much series and films until recently. So now only I'm starting to like kind of catch up with all the current things. But The King, I can have it on my list.
Okay.
Yeah. So what else? Anything else interesting about the Dune?
About the Dune, let's see. I already made a comment about the Whispers. Modern is one of three films. The old show the whole thing, different actors. I think those just the points that just
Yeah.
came to mind.
And when about the story, because you made some comments about what its film's description was back then, back now. I guess it's a tragic story, pretty much. It's like a trap. You send them somewhere, trying to make them feel like we're giving you something, but then it's a trap, so they're trying to survive. So it is kind of a tragic. It has a tragic element, but also adventure. And the worms. We have also the worms. Like
Ugh.
hello, worms. Like a bit of science fiction action here. Those worms, they appear everywhere. I mean, it's Mass Effect, the video game. It also has worms uh, as a side monster when you go to planets to mine on the first one. I think. Anyway, I'm just drifting, going away. But yeah, yeah. Chalamet will be playing a young Willy Wonka in a new movie. Ah, interesting.
uh, okay. I mean, okay.
We will
All
see.
right. No. It's just like I'm gonna get again. As I say, I don't really have much to hide but I remember growing up, I wasn't really a big fan of Willy Wonka because when I first saw the film, it like scared the bejesus out of me. Just because I thought the lead character had just had indifference of what happened to the kid, and it wasn't until like maybe like a couple of years later when I caught like a tail end of the film, just because like I was like channel flipping, and all of a sudden he made like some sort of throwaway line like the kids were okay. I'm like, oh, if I had watched the whole film, I would have been all right. But I was like, every time I saw it, like I see like the Oompa Loompas, and you see all the kids like blown up and then just disappear. I'm like, oh no, what happened to the kid? I'm like,
It's like a horror movie until you see the end.
pretty much. So I mean,
Yeah, yeah. What do you say? Do we move on or do we elaborate more?
well, I mean, that's actually that was the question I had for you. Like, was there something that a point that you wanted to make about the Dune that we hadn't covered?
Well, I don't know. I don't think so. I think I covered everything. It was a very cool movie for me, a very interesting movie, very exciting, epic, very nicely done, produced for me. I haven't had that feeling that to be like awed by a film, like feeling that it's, oh my God, this is awesome, like, epicness in a long time. And it's not, it's, I kid you not because of the what we're going to discuss later. But at the time when I saw the film, when we saw it, it was
Mhm.
like, what was it, out in November? It was middle of November. I
I
thought
think
like,
so.
uh, yeah, I was like, my God, this is so epic. I haven't felt like that since The Matrix. Like when I saw the first Matrix, when my mind was blown, I kind of felt the same. Well, not in terms of story, but in terms of something being produced so nicely in the cinema of,
Right.
like, production wise, and Hollywood and cinematic. Definitely has plenty of cinematic shots. Yes, it was something I have missed in films recently. So I really enjoyed that part. So that's it. Yeah.
So I would guess this would be a good chance to bring up the bonus topic.
Yeah. So speaking of Matrix,
Yes.
so I happened to having watched the Matrix. Let me just increase the green here in the background a bit. We're going to talk about the new Matrix, Robert, and friends in the chat also, because it was released now before Christmas on the 22nd or 23rd in some other countries of December. And you watched it first, actually.
I
And
promise
then,
not to say anything. Not to ruin for you.
yes, and thank you for that. I'm very grateful that you didn't.
Well, I kind of valued my life, so that's why I didn't. I thought it'd be safe I didn't. So
Okay, wait. Grimskull, you haven't seen it. Okay. I don't want to spoil. I don't want to spoil you, Grimskull. Goodbye, Doctor. Like, I'm gonna try. I really don't want to spoil it for people because I know it's in the beginning and not many have seen it yet. But if you are like me, Grimskull, sometimes even if someone is not really spoiling something, even just by saying spoiler-free descriptions, I don't want to know it. I don't want to know anything. If it's something that I really really like I don't want to know anything. Not if it was good, not if it was bad, nothing. So if that's how I just what
well, we
I
can say
just
there's
heard
no
it
worms in
sucked.
the film, as far as I know. So
Well, there are many that say that it sucked. I'm not one of them.
okay, you read my mind. I was going to
But
ask you if you were one of them.
no. Did you think it sucked, Robert?
Not that it sucked. I just thought it was trying too hard. Just I can't help it if it felt if it was trying to be ironic or maybe too much breaking the fourth wall in what they were doing. I guess that's the best
It had that
nonce.
element.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm trying to spare Grimskull if he's still watching, as to not reveal it, but at the
Yeah, I
same
mean,
time.
okay, I will leave you. Yes, Grimskull. Yes, if you don't want to hear anything, I will try to stay spoiler free. But some things we will discuss, even though we're not going. Let's try to not reveal too much, but of course we will talk about it. And then when Grimskull has seen it, then we can talk about it. Grimskull. Yeah, trying too hard. Okay.
So, do I want to eat the
Yep.
blue M&M or the red M&M? I don't know. I probably would eat both just because I would be hungry.
From reliable sources. Fun talking about Dune. Really enjoyed your input, Grimskull. You seem like you really know your Dune stuff. So yeah. Rob, do you want to eat the blue? Yeah, now I see the comment.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Mm. So you thought it was trying too hard, and I understand why you say that, and I know that there are many that were thinking like that. Um, but a friend of mine asking like, "Did you like it?" And I said, "I am going to like it whether it sucks or not. I'm not an objective person. I'm not objective about Matrix. I will like it, and I am liking it whether it objectively sucks or not. But I like it. I cannot say that it sucks because I liked it for
And
reasons. Mm,
but I think what well, I mean, it's not really a
tell
spoiler,
me.
but what confused me was like when they introduced Morpheus back in the film, and they had a different actor. I'm like, is that supposed to be the actor that Lawrence Fishburne playing, or is it like a different Morpheus? It kind of threw me off there for a second there.
That's a very good question. That's a very good point. That's why I'm going to watch it. Do you know what I did? Okay, guys,
All right, let's hear
chat,
it. Yep.
Robert, what I'm
Yes.
doing.
Yep.
So we watched it. That is what we did on New Year's Eve. It was our New Year's Eve activity. We watched the new Matrix, me and my boyfriend, while our son
Hmm.
was sleeping. I said, okay, we will watch it. And I said, I have to watch it again after we've seen it. And of course, I Googled then some lore, to remember. And I started to watch the whole trilogy.
Hmm.
And when I finish the trilogy, I'm going to watch it again. So I've watched two and a half. I started the third. So it's Matrix Reloaded, and Matrix Revolutions. So I'm in the middle of Matrix Revolutions when the machines are digging into the city, Zion. But I slept. It was late, so I slept. So I'm going to continue today. Well,
So slept
I'm a
because you're
bit.
tired, or did the movie put you to sleep?
I was tired. I loved.
Okay.
Uh, if we're talking about Matrix, the first was the epic, of course, but I enjoyed the other two. Uh, but they can never reach. I guess they can never reach the point of the level of the first film, because the first is the one that gives us the impact of that thing. Like, what is the Matrix? What the fuck? Sorry, what the hell did I just watch now? The whole philosophical everything. So the other two, they were okay. You know what's it's going on, and so it was just an action with some philosophical, of course, things. On the Matrix Reloaded, the scene in the highway with Trinity on the motorbike,
Hmm.
that's also epic. Like, no one can deny that. Yeah. So anyway, yes, I slept because I was tired. So then I'm going to watch again the fourth,
Okay.
because what you just said, it is a good question that I was also thinking about it, and I haven't read much about it because I don't want to read anything yet. I just want to see it again, to see what I understand on the second and maybe
Right.
third, and then go deep into the lore or the theories.
Okay.
That's what I had to say about Morpheus.
Okay. Me, it was just a matter like, okay, that's Morpheus. Maybe I think I was just like seeing too much. I was like, did he get de-aged, or was that new Morpheus? Because like, I think the funny thing was like when they were like promoting the film, and like Keanu Reeves was just saying like, well, how were they able to do the film since from the last film before the new film, the character had died? And I'm thinking, did something happen to Morpheus where he may have died and I didn't know about it? Because it's been a while since I saw the film, so I kind of forgot about it.
Listen,
Yes.
I haven't seen the end of the revolutions because, of course, I have gaps as well. But he dies in the game. I read that. I read that in an article on. I read the news article, and then I went to see the cutscenes on YouTube. So there is the Matrix Online, and there is a plot. The story continues, and
Okay.
Morpheus dies there in the
Okay.
game.
Got it.
So those that they were playing on the game online, they know that he dies.
Okay.
So yeah, he dies there by the agents.
Because I think when they were showing him there, and I'm like, okay, so guess he sort of died, but didn't die. Now he's back. Then I got to
No,
the point where like
he dies in the game.
in the game,
So
but
yeah.
like, but outside of the game, like in Zion, he's in one piece, and I'm like, okay. At that point, I thought if I start to analyze it any further, I'm just gonna I'm gonna take myself out of the movie and I won't be able to follow the story. So
But in Zion, you mean the younger version, the new actor, because he was not. He was kind of digitally also manifested, or he was. Yeah. So I'm not really sure either myself. So
mhm,
this is definitely something I want to further investigate,
okay,
because it is a very good question. What happened with Morpheus?
because yeah, but I think I almost forgot that the um oh god, I forgot the character's name, but it was Jada Pinkett Smith in the film where she was the pretty much like the protector of Zion.
Niobe.
Yeah, I didn't recognize her at first until they did like a flashback from when she was in the prior film. Like, oh, okay.
I recognized it. It's like, come on, you could figure it. It was I could see it was her.
Well, I kind of forgot that she was in the film, so that compounded the confusion. My memory is not that great with the Matrix.
Wait, I forgot my props. Come on. Oh my god, you are. Now I'm ready.
See, she's much more ready. I don't even know if that's see. I think her attire is throwing me off because now I can't even talk. But I'm expecting
Sorry, I will
like the
take it.
screen to turn green, and all of a sudden I'd see like coding coming out of the monitor or something.
True story. Did I show you? I think I showed it last time.
What's
My
that?
buttons on my Stream Deck. I have
Yes.
the Matrix theme.
Oh, you did?
So my buttons on the stream. Yeah, I don't know if I can show them on the camera because the cable is not very. Uh, you see?
Let me give you the screen so that people could see it. Can folks see that? Oh, I see it. Okay.
Yeah. But not all of them are on now. But yeah, some are on. I don't know why not all of them are on. But anyway, yes. You can say I'm a fan of the Matrix.
Without a doubt.
So yeah.
But I mean, like the sharp eye viewers, folks knowing of the Marvel background, I'm a little bit more in tune in the comics and stuff, which is apparent. So, but I might have to like consider like maybe giving the green filter next time.
We should have been more prepared.
Well, I think because we were like we're jumping
I'm
between two
joking. I'm
subjects.
joking. Yeah.
I think it's the Matrix that's talking right now. So
Yeah. So you didn't like it, all in all. If we go back to the film, Resurrections, you didn't like it.
no, I didn't say I didn't like it. I just thought it was trying too hard. I mean, I think it was cool that they were making a lot of callbacks from the prior films, but because like I haven't seen the prior films in a while, it took me a while to kind of figure out like what they were throwing back to. Like um I forgot so little things like forgetting the character's name used to be was Tom Anderson, and they would flip back between that and Neo. I'm like, okay, are they still talking about
Yes.
Keanu Reeves' character? And then the fact that they were talking about Trinity and how she plays into it, I kind of forgot her backstory, like what she did before the film and how like how she had how they both had died. I'm like, did they die? And then it wasn't like when they start like filling the gaps. I'm like, okay, so I think if I wasn't too confused, it probably would hit me more. But I think for the fact that, I mean, I did like the idea that it was trying to do a little bit more of the fourth wall breaking about like making reference of the prior films into like a game. I thought that was pretty cool. I think what kind of confused me was like when they were like interacting with the characters in the film to talk about the game. Then that's where the real mind bending begin. We're like, okay, so if they're are they like actual or they illusion? And then so I think
Yeah,
that
that's the Matrix. That's the whole yes confusion. Yeah.
so the fact that they were true to be able to do that, I thought that was pretty cool. I mean, I think maybe if it was like a maybe like the some of the plots where it could have been tightened up as to how they would make it a lot more trippier. I thought it was cool. I mean, it was good to be able to see Keanu in action again. Although I thought it was kind of funny that they were making fun of the fact about how he had trouble flying and how like um
Yeah,
spoiler
because he was. Mm,
he,
spoiler.
the fact that the Trinity was the one that was flying him around, I thought was pretty cool to have her do it than him. So
Yeah, but they explained it kind of why spoiler. It's like spoiler. Okay, spoiler. It's like it's both of them. It's not only the one, but it's both of them. The essence of that thing.
True. I was more
I
concerned,
mean,
like,
that's what they wanted to. Yeah, I guess. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
but, but I couldn't help.
And it. Sorry. Yes.
Oh no, go ahead. I lost my train of thought. What were we gonna say?
Yeah, sorry, I interrupted you. Sorry. I just wanted to say also that it makes more sense. I was also like surprised. How could they make a four matrix? Like, what is this going to be? I was also afraid that it could either be completely let down, is that like completely disappointment, or something cool. And I was reading, of course, a news article about the not lore, but like about the production and everything. And so the oh my god, the what's how do you say the name? What's Kotsky brothers,
Oh, the
which they're
Wachowskis.
not brothers anymore. Yes, that now they're not. They are women now.
Both of them.
You don't know that?
I have.
S- So it was Larry and Adam. What's called Wachowski? What?
Uh-huh.
Oh my god, the name. And Larry is Lana. Lana.
Okay.
She became a woman a few years back. So and then after some time, he also became a woman. But not both of them did now the Matrix. Only Lana made it. The other person didn't want to participate in this. Is it the person, because I don't remember her name now? It's Lana and Lily. Lily, yeah.
Okay.
So she didn't want to participate. Um, and they have been doing Cloud Atlas, Jupiter Ascent,
Okay.
and Sense 8. They have been directing it. So anyway, and they didn't want to make it. Lana said she didn't want to make it, but it was like Warner Brothers. They wanted to make a fourth because of the franchise, and they were like begging, according to the article, begging them, like offering money. But she was like, no, we told the story, there's no way.
Right.
And I don't know if there was a fear that we're going to make it with or without her, which it also, it's into the movie, that story subplot as well. So for that, I'm happy that she agreed to do it. So at least it kept the originality. Because
Right.
imagine if Warner Bros. Just wanted to make a for the sake of the franchise, then I think it would have been a disaster.
True. Oh man, I
That
felt
is my
bad
opinion.
because like when they made reference to Lana, I just thought, okay, they had a sister that I didn't know about. I'm like, oh man, I
No, it's yeah, it's her, him, her now. Lana. It's
gotcha.
so she made it. Yes. And I think she did a great. They did a great job, like the whole production. Like, and she was insisting into using, daylight. It's not so much CGI. So the scene, I have been watching YouTube and reading articles. The scene where they jump off the building,
Okay.
it's real. It's not a computer generated. So of course they had like wires and everything, but they really jumped off the skyscraper.
Yeah, because I remember at least when they were interviewing Keanu Reeves about it, he was making light of the fact that how he is now physically is a lot different than when they first did the film. So it takes a little bit longer for him to recuperate from these jumps and stuff. I'm like, yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. I have been watching probably the same interview. Was it in Stephen Colbert?
That might have been it. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. But okay, maybe we shouldn't talk much more, drag it more. But I wanted to say also that Matrix for me was a big nostalgic trip. It was
Okay.
trip down the memory lane. That's why I enjoyed it so much, because, as you said, they were showing a lot of the previous Matrixes. They put a lot of elements of the old films reviewed. So, if you feel nostalgic about the Matrix, I do recommend it, that you should watch it. And that is for me one reason that I really enjoyed it.
So it's got the definitely the stamp of approval from Xanthi.
Yeah. And I want to make a small comment
Okay.
about the names of two characters.
Okay.
new characters,
Okay.
Sek and Bugs.
Yes.
Yes. So I will say so. Sek. When I first heard Sek, and it was written, it was spelled CEQ, and
Okay.
C is bugs. So I was like, CEQ. That is SQL. That is SQL. You know, the programming language SQL.
Right.
That's the first. I don't, if it's a database language. I'm not a programmer. I
Right.
just knew a few commands back in the day. So I'm not saying that I'm a hacker or programmer. Just yeah. So and I was like, Sek, that must be a sequel reference. That must be. But then his name was, I wrote it here on our notes, Sequoia. And
Oh, okay.
Robert, I don't buy it. I'm not buying it. No, for me,
No.
it's sequel. It
Okay.
is going to be sequel. Yeah. And her name is Bugs, the new character Bugs
Yep.
from Bugs Bunny.
Not as
I'm
in
not
computer
buying that
bugs.
either. It's a bug. Of course, it's a computer bug, and you have SQL. So, hello. But they made also the point that Bugs Bunny, Rabbit from the maid. So, okay. I can kind of buy that. Yeah.
Well,
So,
because like they had like that scene where she shows like the tattoo on her arm. So I'm thinking, well, maybe,
yes. Yes. So,
but
it
maybe
makes sense. Correct.
unless they're covering their tracks, and it could be really what it is, like you're saying. How do we know that the picture there is not pixelated? It could have been like a coding error or something. You never know.
Now we're talking mind bending here.
Yeah.
Exactly.
But here's a little bit of a geek fact. You probably something you already know. Like the actress that played Bug, Jessica Fendrick, I think it was. So she's actually in the Netflix Marvel series of Iron Fist, where she played. Oh God, I can't remember the character's name. But they did like some sort of interview with her where it was a kind of an interesting situation where she could either take the part that she did with the Matrix, or she could have taken a part within the MCU film the sh- then when the Shang Chi was still in production. I'm like, man, that's an interesting dilemma to choose between two different franchises to be a part of. So ultimately, she went with the Matrix. But man, I'm like,
Good choice. Good choice. Well, I say good. Emotionally, for me, it's a good choice. But maybe the other choice would have given more franchise opportunities. I don't know.
well,
Yeah, yeah, that.
I think that they might have left the door open for her to bring her back, but still, just to have that opportunity to take one or the other. I don't know if it was like they made a sort of joke, like if it was her red blue pill moment in deciding between the two franchises,
Mm,
it was a pretty interesting thing to be able to read about. So I'm like, oh, okay, so
that's an
s-
interesting point.
yeah.
I'm very curious to see from people in the chat, or if you're watching the replay, what you think about the Matrix. And I'm very interested in people's opinion about the Matrix after they have listened what we talked about. Because for me, but as I said, I usually enjoy films. It's hard for me to find a film that I don't enjoy, even the ones that are bad. I enjoy them for the sake of being well. Okay, there are some films that I really bad that I couldn't, but yeah, some Halo films on Netflix. I was like, oh, gaming film, action. Let's put it. No, it was horrible. It was bad, like bad. No, like no. But yes, I really want to know what people think, and I don't have much more to add at this point because and avoiding spoiling it. But maybe we can do a catch up later on after a few months if we feel for it, if we have people commenting, if we have people having asking questions. We will see.
So it'd be like a revision of a resurrection of a past
If we
topic.
feel for it, and after it has dawned a bit, and yeah, I mean, I'm a Matrix fan, so yeah.
Yeah, I mean, totally. I mean, as I say, whenever the mood is right, or you that you're up for it, we can definitely revisit.
Mm.
I almost said circle back, but I think it was like one of those terms I'm trying to be careful not to use too often. But yeah, that's something we can return to definitely for an upcoming show.
But one question before you mentioned Morpheus and how he is back.
Yes.
Do you remember Merovingian, the French guy?
Probably forgot.
Okay. Do you remember the homeless guy that it was dirty when they were fighting inside that kind of basement thing?
Yeah,
Or it was like a that Merovingian that he was saying social media and the phones back then. Yeah, it was the French guy. Which he's a program also.
I thought you were gonna say that was Morpheus.
No, no, he's the Merovingian. So it's spoiler. I should have said spoiler, but we have said spoiler alert. Even I mean, yeah,
Right.
spoiler, spoiler. But I mean, from being a very posh French man, sophisticated, to be now like what he became now, homeless. That is something also.
Yeah, because
In,
I knew
in
that there was like some significance of the character, but I just didn't know too much to the comment other than he was there.
That's why you need to watch it again.
I'll probably gonna be like saying, like, okay, that's this character, but was he in that character in that movie? And but
Yeah.
I'll look at.
Well, mm,
I'll definitely have the um what do they call it? Like the idiot's guide to watching Matrix, so I can keep track of the characters. Unless they have weird name tags, then that'll help me out.
you can have a lore printed out next to you. So yeah, I also Google it because sometimes I forget. Okay, what was that character's backstory? But anyway, I don't want to start talking. What is the word? Rumble, bubble more into the matrix. You should now be the one interrupting me and telling me stop talking now. That's enough.
Hey,
So
I
I'm gonna
mean,
stop.
I'm
Mm.
always a fan of folks talking about what they're passionate about, so I have no complaints. But I do hear what you're saying. So, but
So
like you say,
yeah,
we can definitely revisit that subject on a future episode about the Matrix, whether it's a follow up of what we talked about, or even just some different aspect that we didn't cover. And for those that are watching the replay or on live now, if it's something that you like to hear or if it's something you want to add, let us know. We're open to it.
correct. What he said. Where are you? There.
I mean, right.
Yes. Yes.
I'm still
Yes.
working on the hand
Yeah.
directions because I get mixed up
Yeah.
myself too. But
So
I was
yeah.
I was gonna say like for the next episode, I mean, it's pretty much for fair game. If there's a specific subject you like us to talk about, let us know. Otherwise, between the both of us, we'll get back to you as what we'll talk about because it's like I
Well,
say.
we talked about Marvel, some
Yep.
Marvel
Yep.
things. We talked about it, so that's in the list. But of course, as you said, we are looking forward to hearing your suggestions. If you have anything you would like us to cover, anything around pop culture, we're here.
Yeah. Because I think the last one we had talked about, at least with Marvel, was the idea whether if Hawkeye was considered a Christmas film, which led to the discussion
Yes.
about Die Hard, which
Yes.
uh,
We will find something in the Marvel universe. I'm sure there's plenty of material to discuss about, but we can talk about Hawkeye definitely.
my
Yeah.
cat would love to see a feline version of the Matrix, Meow Tricks.
Is that my cat? Life version. Okay. Joshua Lee, did you see The Matrix? Did you see the credit end titles? Did you see all of it? Did you see the credit
Yeah,
scene?
yeah,
The
Josh, did you
scene.
see it?
Maybe that's a reference. I'm not saying anything. I'm not spoiling that. I'm not spoiling that.
No worries. But um,
Okay.
but yeah, I mean, even if we talk about holidays, even in February, I'm up for that too because I think I forget who it was that had mentioned that. Well, I think they were definitely had to agree with you that they saw that and Die Hard as a Christmas film, and I haven't gotten there yet, but I could see how folks would say that. Um, so that's something we could talk about next month,
Definitely.
or something else. But
Or something else. We will
exactly,
brainstorm.
yep. So if you see
So
any smoke coming out of this house, you'll know why. Brainstorming.
yeah. So, where can people find us? Well, of course, make sure to subscribe in our respective channels where you're watching us to not miss any further shows,
Yep,
future shows.
and
Mm?
in our description, we had also list the link where if you missed this program or last month's, we do have it saved on the Shala Productions website for Pop Goes Stream, as well as on our respective YouTube channels, Xanthi's Twitch and YouTube channel, and we are
So
also
that's it.
we
YouTube
all
and Twitch, yes?
yep. And if you're happen to be a member to the live streaming friends, uh, it's also streaming there too. So if you not on any of the other platforms, you could also see it there as well. Um,
You have in the description, you have put everything. Perfect. The websites, YouTube links, Instagram, my Twitter, and your YouTube, your LinkedIn, Instagram, and Facebook. So
yep,
you can
just
find us everything in the description, all the information in the description.
what she said. So,
Yes.
um, so other than that, I think unless there's anything we didn't cover, I think we covered uh our
I think we
thoughts.
covered everything. I think it's about time for me to stop talking now because I will not stop talking if I don't put a stop,
No worries.
a full stop.
All
Mm.
right, so we will take it there as
Mm.
our cue to the take off or the sign off or whatever the ending was that I got to work on. But
Thank you, everyone, in the chat, and we're looking forward to your comments and ideas.
yep. So again, and if
And see you in February because it's a monthly um, show.
right, which
Yes,
we will get back to people later on the date, but definitely the time is it's pretty constant around
the same.
3
Yes,
p.m. my
yes.
time and 9 p.m. Central European time.
European time.
Right. So,
Yes.
so you've been watching Pop Goes the Stream. I've been Rob,
And I'm Xanthi, and see
and
you soon.
take care, everyone.
Yes. Bye bye.